Hello everyone and welcome to the WCG for match 3 of the 2021 Australia ADT20 BIG BASH, which sees last year's semi-finalists the Saggy Greens taking on the tournament dark horses the NIFF NUFFS to get us underway in Group C. The men in green will be looking to replicate their surprise run to the Final Four in last year's edition, and for the NIFF NUFFS, who were quarter-finalists in their first tilt at the Australia ADT20 BIG BASH in last year's edition, they'll be looking to go even further this time around and challenge for the title. So as we take a look at Group C, it is the Saggy Greens who will headline this group after their run to the semi-finals last year. They are joined by last year's quarter-finalists and their opponents in this match, the NIFF NUFFS, and it's the WCG Babes who make their second appearance at the Australia ADT20 BIG BASH to round out the group. Captains are in the middle for the toss. So it's the Saggy Greens who win the all-important toss, and they have elected to send the NIFF NUFFS into bat. As we take a look at the bottle green side for this year's competition, they will be captained once again by Tom Doy, the cult figure at the WCG, features in his fourth Australia ADT20 BIG BASH. He'll be joined by exciting all-rounder Dave Lupton, who makes his second appearance at the Australia ADT20 BIG BASH after impressing last year, and the Saggy Greens are rounded out by Jack Sullivan, who makes his first appearance at the Australia ADT20 BIG BASH some 2 years. If we take a look at the NIFF NUFFS side for this year's campaign, they will be captained once again by Henry Perenara, who makes his first appearance at the WCG since the first test of the series this season. He will be joined by exciting all-rounder Joel Wodjick, who makes his first appearance at the Australia ADT20 BIG BASH since the inaugural competition all the way back in 2016. And the side is rounded out by Todd Lavin, who was released by Howzat after last year's competition, but picked up by the men in pink. Just before we get underway, we'd like to thank our tournament partners for this year's competition, Campbelltown Motor Auctions, who have jumped on board for this season, and we thank them for their support. And a massive thank you to our ever-reliable and long-standing partners, Harley Cranes Group. It's the Saggy Greens v the NIFF NUFFS in a massive contest here in Group C, and we're ready to go. And it will be Joel Wodjick who will get this innings underway here for the NIFF NUFFS. He's coming off a pretty handy test series with the bat on his return to the WCG, and he's been entrusted to get the men in pink off to the ideal start. So it's a group-defining contest to get us underway here in Group C. It's going to be the skipper, Tom Doy, who will bowl the opening over of the innings. He's in now to Wodjick, begins with a full delivery, and Wodjick hits it down the ground for the opening boundary of the contest. Well, that's a statement of intent if ever I've seen one from Wodjick, as he goes bang first delivery. Doy under pressure from ball one, as he'll continue over the wicket now to Wodjick, and he replies with a horrible delivery which sails over the head of Wodjick, so that'll be called a wide. So not the start the Saggy Greens were looking for with the ball. The NIFF NUFFS no wicket for 5 in the opening over. Doy will continue again here to Wodjick, and this one's a better delivery on a good length. Wodjick plays his back down the pitch for no run. So that's better from the Saggy Greens skipper. As he'll continue again now to Wodjick in the opening over, who advances. Oh, and he's got a top edge through to the keeper. So that's a massive wicket for the Saggy Greens. Wodjick falls cheaply here in the opening over as he advances at Doy and gets a top edge through to the automatic wicket. And Wodjick goes cheaply to mark his return to the Australia ADT20 BIG BASH. So the NIFF NUFFS in a wee bit of trouble here in the opening over, as that wicket now brings the skipper Henry Perenara to the crease. Had a pretty handy tournament with the blade in last year's edition. Can he stand up for his side now? A wicket here will be gold dust for the Saggy Greens, as Doy will continue to Perenara in the opening over, and this one's a short delivery wide outside the off stump, and it has been called a wide by the umpire. So it's been an erratic start to the over here from Tom Doy, though he has picked up the big wicket of Wodjick. As he'll continue again now to Perenara, and it's another short delivery. Perenara gets a bottom edge as it trickles towards the auto wicket, but I think it has stopped short, so Perenara moves through for the single to get off the mark for the tournament. Well, he's actually a bit fortunate there, the NIFF NUFFS skipper. That could have gone anywhere. The NIFF NUFFS 1 for 7 as we arrive at the final ball of the opening over. Doy's in once again. It's another short delivery, and Perenara gets it away on the onside for his first boundary of the innings. Too short once again from the Saggy Green skipper, and Perenara dispatches it. It'll be Jack Sullivan to bowl the second over of the innings. He's in now to Perenara, and this one's a floater delivery. touch and go whether it's above waist height, as Perenara drops that on the offside for a single. And the umpire gives Sullivan a reprieve there. That one looked like a tight call, but it goes the Saggy Greens' way on this occasion. The NIFF NUFFS 1 for 15 in the second over. Henry Perenara just steadying the ship here for the men in pink. Sullivan is in this time around the wicket, and this one's a wide delivery outside the off stump, and it has been called a wide this time by the umpire. So he doesn't escape sanction on this occasion to Sullivan. As we continue once again around the wicket to Perenara. Here he's in now, and this one's a short delivery which lobs up and is spanked down the ground for a maximum there from Perenara. The Saggy Greens have been far too short to begin match 3 here, and Perenara goes bang. 1 for 22. Sullivan under pressure here in the second over. As he continue to Perenara around the wicket, and it's another short delivery, and it's another one that travels to the boundary as it beats the outstretched hand of Sullivan. This is beginning to get away here from the Saggy Greens as the NIFF NUFFS skipper looks in the mood. Sullivan in for the final ball of the over. Here he's in now around the wicket. It's another short delivery, and it's another one that's hammered to the boundary as Perenara is feasting on some poor Saggy Greens bowling. Perenara races along to 20. His side 1 for 30 after 2. So it's the NIFF NUFFS who are in complete control of this Group C opener, as the men in pink are going at 15 and over, and a 1 for 30 heading into the back end of the innings. Saggy Greens need to pull this back. So it's going to be Dave Lupton to bowl the third over of the innings, as he's in over the wicket here to Perenara, and he begins with a good length delivery, but this one slides down the leg side, so that'll be another one added to the total. So that's not the start Lupton was looking for. As he'll continue over the wicket here to Perenara, and this one's a back of a length delivery, and it's played towards Jack Sullivan on the offside, and it's fielded for no run. So a priceless dot there for the men in bottle green. Lupton is in once again to Perenara, and this one's a good length delivery, and it's pushed on the offside, and Perenara sets off for a quick single. It's actually a pretty decent bit of fielding there from Jack Sullivan, who gathered cleanly, turned and threw, but unfortunately from his point of view, the throw was off target. Lupton to continue to Perenara in the third over. Here he's in now, and this one's a full delivery, and it's well driven on the offside again from Perenara, who beats Sullivan there at short cover for another boundary. Perenara moves along to 25, and the NIFF NUFFS are flying. The NIFF NUFFS 1 for 36 in the third over. Lupton will continue again now to Perenara, and this one's a short wide delivery, and it's hammered on the offside for another boundary. Perenara is on fire here in match 3, and the Saggy Greens are getting put to the sword. The NIFF NUFFS 1 for 42 as we arrive at the final ball of the third over. Here's Lupton is in to Perenara, and it's a good length delivery, and Perenara is forward and defends to end with. So it's going to be Tom Doy, the skipper, to bowl the fourth and final over of the innings. Here's in now round the wicket to Perenara, and he begins with a good length delivery, and Perenara guides that onto the fence and will move through for a single. So given the recent flurry of boundaries, the Saggy Greens won't mind that. The NIFF NUFFS are on the verge of becoming just the third side in Australian ADT20 Big Bash history to post a score in excess of 50. 1 for 43 here in the final over, as Doy will continue around the wicket. This one's a good length delivery. Perenara plays that back down the pitch, but it's well fielded in the end there from Tom Doy, and it's a priceless stop for the men in green. 3 deliveries left here in the innings, as Doy will continue to Perenara around the wicket. This one's another shorter delivery, but Perenara isn't able to get this away past Jack Sullivan, so it's yet another priceless dot. So 2 consecutive dots for the first time in the innings, as Doy is in for the penultimate delivery of the innings. He's in now, this one's a good length delivery, it's played down the ground, but Tom Doy dives away to his left to make the stop. It's another priceless dot here, thanks to the Saggy Green skipper, who dives away to his left. So we arrive at the final ball of the innings. The NIFF NUFFS 1 for 43. As Doy is in now for the final delivery, and has that been called a wide? No, it hasn't. He's got away with it, the Saggy Green skipper. So it's a fantastic end to the innings here for the men in green. Just 1 run coming off the final over of the innings, but it's still a stern chase ahead for the Saggy Greens. So the NIFF NUFFS have put down a serious marker here for the Saggy Greens, as they've posted 1 for 43 off their 20 deliveries. The skipper Henry Perenara resurrecting the innings after the early dismissal of Wodgick to finish 30 not out, and the Kings of the Chase will just about have to emulate their record from last year if they're going to get home in this one. 44 to get. So it's going to be Dave Lupton who will get this run chase underway for the Saggy Greens. Was instrumental in their record run chase against the Puff and Billies in last year's tournament. Can he stand up for his side once again? So So 44 to get here for the men in green. It's going to be Henry Perenara to bowl the first over of the innings. He's in now over the wicket to Lupton, and it's a good length delivery which goes right through the Saggy Greens opener. So Perenara on the money from ball one, and it's a nervous moment to begin with for Lupton. Perenara to continue to Lupton in the opening over. Here he's in now, this one's another good length delivery, and Lupton has hit this one over the fence. So the NIFF NUFFS get the early breakthrough they desired. It's the dangerous Lupton that goes for a duck. The hole gets even deeper for last year's semi-finalists, who are now 1 for none in the first over, and the men in pink are on their way. So the Saggy Greens 1 for none here in this run chase, as that wicket will now bring Jack Sullivan to the crease at number 2. As mentioned prior, has not featured in the competition for 2 years, and he's up against it from ball one. So it'll be a fired up Henry Perenara who has his tail up to bowl to Sullivan for his first delivery. In now, it's another good length delivery, and it's another one that cuts in half for Saggy Greens batsman. So it's been a fantastic start to the innings here from Perenara, who's had a fantastic match all round. Perenara to continue to Sullivan in the opening over. Here's in now, this one's another good length delivery, and Sullivan advances, but gets a nick through to the keeper. It goes from bad to worse for the Saggy Greens, whose run chase is in tatters. Sullivan goes for a duck on his return, and the men in pink are flying towards victory. So the Saggy Greens 2 for none in the opening over, and that wicket now brings the skipper Tom Doy to the crease, who is the last hope for the Saggy Greens here. Can the Colt hero stand up again? No side has ever been bowled out for 0 at the Australian ADT20 Big Bash. Perenara is in for the final ball of his over, and is played back down the ground for no run to end a dream over from Perenara. Joel Wodjick to bowl the second over of the innings. As he comes in over the wicket to Doy, it's a full toss hit back towards Wodjick, who can't take the catch. And to add insult to injury, I think this has gone all the way for 6. It was hit back to Wodjick at some pace. Oh, but you'd think he'd take that. So a let off there for the Saggy Green skipper. As Wodjick will continue again now to Doy. He's in there and it's another full toss, and it's another one slapped down the ground, and it gets past Wodjick once again for another boundary. So 10 off the first 2 deliveries to begin the second over, as Doy won't go down without a fight. The Saggy Greens 2 for 10 in the second over, as Wodjick will continue to Doy over the wicket, and this one's a fuller delivery, finally landing on the pitch outside the off stump, and Doy leaves it alone. So the Kings of the chase under enormous pressure here in match 3, but the skipper is standing resolute so far. As Wodjick is in once again, it's another full toss. It's another one hammered to the boundary. Well, Doy is not laying down without a fight as he races to 14. So Wodjick in for the final ball of his over as he opts to go around the wicket for this delivery. It's a full delivery and it's clipped off his toes there from Doy onto the fence and will move through for a single to end with. As a chance for a bonus point for the NIFF NUFFS goes begging. So as we arrive at the halfway mark of this run chase, the Saggy Greens are still alive here, but they're hanging on by a thread, as all the responsibility now lies on the Saggy Greens skipper Tom Doy. The Saggy Greens need a mammoth 29 off 10 deliveries, so it's basically 3 a ball here for the men in green, and the NIFF NUFFS are just 1 wicket away from rocketing to the top of Group C. So it's going to be Todd Lavin to bowl this third over of the innings, as he'll begin around the wicket here to Doy, and this one's a good length delivery, but it slides down the leg side, so it's a wide to begin with. So you'd think this is the over that Doy has to target here. You'd imagine it's going to be Perenara who's going to bowl the last over. So you'd think the bulk of the runs are going to have to come here. Lavin will continue to Doy in the third over, and it's a swing and a miss here from the Saggy Green skipper. So it's a priceless stop for the NIFF NUFFS. That asking rate goes up even higher now for the Saggy Greens. 28 off 9 deliveries. So it's more than 3 a ball now for last year's semi-finalists. Lavin is in once again to Doy, and this one's a back of a leg delivery, and Doy hammers it down the ground for another boundary. So they're still alive here, the Saggy Greens, but they're going to need plenty more of that. 2 for 20. 24 to get off 8 deliveries for the Saggy Greens. As Lavin will continue again now to Doy, and Doy hits this uppishly, and has it gone over the fence? I think this might have gone over the house. This could be the end of the match. There's conjecture as to where this ball has actually landed. Well, it's handshakes all round for the NIFF NUFFS. They are convinced they've won this match. Well, I wonder if they've been told that it's gone over the fence. Yeah, there's still some conjecture. Well, I think the officials are signalling 6. I think they're saying that the ball is still on the roof. Well, there's dramatic scenes here at the WCG. No one knows where this ball is, but I think judging on the angle we saw, it's probably stuck in the tree. Yes, they now try to shake the tree to find where this ball is. Well, this is a big moment of the contest. Well, we still await what the official ruling is. Yeah, I think the officials, have they found the ball? They've found the ball at 6. It's on the roof. So Saggy Greens are still alive here. Well, the NIFF NUFFS have thought they won the match, but as it turns out, the Doi juggernaut rolls on. We'll take a look at the replay now. It was a back of a length delivery from Lavin. It was hammered, and yeah, there's no evidence to suggest that's gone over the house. The right call has probably been made. So a crazy few minutes here at the WCG. The equation now 18 off 6. As Lavin is in for the final ball of the over, and it's a back of a length delivery, but it's a swing and a miss, and a priceless dot as we head to the final over of the contest. So Tom Doi has single-handedly kept his side in this contest. The Saggy Green skipper has raced to 25 not out. It's 18 to get off 5 deliveries, but the NIFF NUFFS are just 1 wicket away from victory. So to the final over we go, and it will be Perenara who will bowl this final over of the innings. Here he's in now over the wicket to Doi, and it's a good length delivery. Doi's hit this into the party stand. It's a 6 to begin with. Well, hang on, ladies and gentlemen, could he just do it? Could he pull off the impossible? It's 12 to get off 4 deliveries. Well, things are getting very tight here for the NIFF NUFFS. Perenara is in once again to Doi, and it's another back of a length delivery, and Hansie's gone over the fence this time. No, it stayed on the roof again. Can you believe it? It's another maximum. They're in touching distance now, the Saggy Greens. Fortune favours the brave. It's 6 off 3 now. So the Saggy Greens are just 1 hit away from quite an amazing victory. Perenara into Doi, and this one strikes Doi in the body, but he's going to move through for a leg bye. But that's still a pretty decent result for the NIFF NUFFS, as it's now 5 to get off 2. Well, just minutes ago it looked like the NIFF NUFFS were going to cruise to a bonus point. Now they are staring down the barrel of defeat, and it's all thanks to the Saggy Green skipper. Tom Doi 37 not out and has pulled his side from the ashes. But the NIFF NUFFS are still just 1 moment away here from victory. They need some composure in these final 2 deliveries. It's Perenara to Doi, and it's a full toss, and it's found the boundary again! Scores are level here at the WCG. Tom Doi is playing one of the great T20 knocks, and the Saggy Green skipper has at least forced a super over here. So the field comes in for this final delivery of the match. Scores are miraculously level here in match 3. It's Perenara into Doi, and it's a back of the length delivery, and hits Doi in the body. He's going to move through for the leg bye, and he gets it! The Saggy Greens have done it! In one of the greatest comebacks of all time, Tom Doi has plucked his side from the ashes and has got them home by 1 wicket. The NIFF NUFFS left to rue how on earth they let this one slip. You think back to the drop catch from Wodging off Doi before he'd even scored a run. But credit where it's due, this moment belongs to Tom Doi. He finishes 41 not out. Oh, and it would have been tight if he hit, but it's all academic now. So in one of the great Australian ADT20 Big Bash clashes, the Saggy Greens had prevailed by 1 wicket when all looked lost. They were 2 for none after the first over, but Tom Doi, who finishes 41 not out, gets his side home in a classic. The NIFF NUFFS on the wrong side of another classic contest here at the WCG, as they were in last year's quarter-final, and they will wonder how on earth they let this one slip. So the Saggy Greens sitting pretty at the top of Group C after that miraculous victory. Tom Doi and his men can seal top spot here in Group C with victory against the WCG Babes in their next contest. The NIFF NUFFS rooted to the bottom of Group C for now, but you would expect that to change after their meeting against the WCG Babes. So as we look ahead to the next match of the tournament, it is a blockbuster to get us underway in the group of death. Howzat and Wet Up meet in their first match of the tournament as they did last year, and Wet Up will have revenge on their mind after they were paddled by the 2-time champs in last year's opener.